Welcome to my channel, where we try and explain the unexplained. And today we're going to horror. We followed the whispers into darkness. Our next Reddit user posts this on the R No Sleep subreddit. The whispers started the moment we arrived at the old Victorian house. I told my husband Joe to ignore them. I had heard the rumors about this house and didn't want to give them any credibility. The real estate agent had mentioned that the house had a reputation for being haunted, but it was in such good condition. And with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a pool, and an acre of land for $250,000, I couldn't pass up the deal. As we walked through the front door, I could have sworn I saw a girl standing at the top of the stairs. When I turned around, there was no one there. Joe, being the skeptic he is, just laughed and said, "Let's go see what's in the fridge." We began to unpack. As I went through boxes in the kitchen, I heard footsteps above me. I stopped and listened. They stopped. My imagination, I told myself, and went back to unpacking. After we'd been there 3 days, I was sorting through paperwork when I heard scratching noises coming from the walls. I tried to ignore them. It sounded like someone was trying to claw their way out of the wall. When the noise stopped, I thought, that's it. This place really is haunted. Joe came into the room and asked if I'd heard anything. I told him about the scratching and the whispers. "I'm sure it's just some animals," he said, kissing me on the neck. "Don't let this old house get to you." One evening we were eating dinner when we heard what sounded like screams in the middle of the night. I woke up to Joe shaking me. "Did you hear that?" I asked, sitting up in bed. "Yeah, I think I did," he replied, his eyes wide. "Let's just go back to sleep," I said. Even though I knew there was no way I'd be able to, Joe got up and turned on the lights. That's when we saw it. On the ceiling above our bed was a huge spider web with a large black spider crawling on it. It must have fallen from the ceiling while we were asleep. "I hate spiders," I whispered, burying my face in Joe's chest. He wrapped his arms around me and kissed my hair. "It's okay, I'll protect you," he murmured. Looked at the spider, its hairy legs waving in the air. It seemed to be getting bigger by the second. Suddenly, it dropped down off the ceiling. I screamed, burying my face in Joe's shirt as he pulled me away from the bed. The spider crawled over the carpet towards the closet. "Get out of here!" Joe yelled, kicking it across the room. It landed on the wall and slowly began to climb towards the ceiling. The following morning, I got up early and went to the bathroom. In the mirror, I could have sworn I saw the girl from the stairs standing behind me. She was tall and thin, with long, dark hair covering her face. I blinked and she was gone. I turned around, but there was no one in the bathroom with me. Must have been exhausted, I thought. I need more coffee. Later that day, Joe and I were in the kitchen when we heard loud footsteps in the attic above us. This time there was no mistaking what they were. Someone or something heavy was stomping back and forth. After a while, the sounds stopped abruptly. We stood there listening. When we didn't hear anything else, we decided to investigate. We followed the sound to the attic door, and Joe pushed it open. The attic was messy, with old furniture and boxes stacked everywhere. There was no sign of anyone up here. "See, I told you," Joe said, turning to me. But before I could reply, the floorboards beneath us creaked, and a cold wind blew through the attic. We both jumped, and then stared at each other in disbelief. "I don't like this," I said, backing away from the attic door. "Neither do I," Joe agreed. "Let's just get out of here." As soon as we left the attic, the whispers started again. They were coming from the walls and the floorboards. It sounded like dozens of voices whispering at once. They were saying my name. They were saying Joe's name. They were laughing and crying, screaming and yelling. They were talking about death and pain and darkness. I pressed my hands against my ears, trying to block them out. Joe put his arm around my shoulder and led me out of the house. We got into our car and slammed the doors. The whispers followed us, pounding on the metal like 1,000 tiny hammers. We sped out of the driveway and onto the road. I turned to Joe, tears streaming down my face, and asked, "What are we going to do?" "I don't want to stay in that house." "We're not," he said, gripping my hand. "We're never going back there." But our nightmare wasn't over yet. The whispers grew louder as we drove, filling my head and blocking out the sound of the engine. Joe's face was pale, and his eyes were wide with fear. I could tell he was just as scared as I was. As we approached the last intersection before our street, the whispers reached a fever pitch. Then suddenly, bang, 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 3 loud knocks on the roof of the car. I screamed, burying my face in Joe's shoulder as he slammed on the brakes. When we looked up, we saw a black van with no windows following us. It was big and ugly, like a hearse. The driver's side door was open, and all we could see was darkness inside. The whispers became screams, and we could hear what sounded like chains dragging metal moans. The van was almost upon us now, so I closed my eyes tight, waiting for the inevitable. But the crash never came. Instead, I heard the screech of tires as the van went by. When I opened my eyes, I saw the black van disappearing around the corner. The whispers faded away, and the engine started up again. "Go," I whispered to Joe, who nodded and put the car into drive. We turned the corner and raced away from the house, from the whispers, from the shadows. I don't know how long we drove for. All I know is that we never stopped running. Every time I close my eyes, I can still hear the screams in the attic, the footsteps in the hallway, the scratching in the walls, the whispers in the darkness. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and feel something crawling on top of me. I know if I turn on the light, I'll find only empty sheets beside me. But still, I can't bring myself to look. We sold the house, but no one wanted to buy it. The real estate agent took it off the market, and the house still stands empty, a silent monument to our terror. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I just call the police? But trust me, you wouldn't believe me if I told you what I heard. And besides, it's not the kind of thing they can investigate. You can't see the darkness, hear the whispers. All you can do is run. And that's the story of You Followed the Whispers into Darkness. If you like scary stories, check out the playlist in the description or comments below. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.